Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Reload, the voice of the relocation industry. I'm your host, Ben Cross, and I am so blessed and fortunate to be here today. One of the joys of my life and this project that we do every day is talking to you, the viewer, and getting to meet some of the most outstanding people, some of the most interesting people, some of the biggest hearts, the most compassionate and empathetic people in the relocation and global mobility industry from around the globe. I have the distinct honor and privilege of getting to talk to these people, getting to hear their stories and bring those stories to you. And it's an honor that they even trust me in this platform to do that. And it's just so much fun. And today is one of those moments where I get to meet somebody that came highly recommended to me, and our paths had not crossed in the past. And I'm just so fortunate to bring you Fiona Mougenot, Managing Director of Expat Partners. She's a fantastic woman. She's going to be here with us in just a few minutes. Before we get into the program, I want to remind everybody that we still have Hunger Action Month going on. September is Hunger Action Month. It is September 24th. We have about 6 days left, and we are doing a fundraiser. Janet, show them how they can get these wonderful t-shirts. For a $35 donation, you can get a Love and Reload t-shirt here. It is a limited edition, custom made gold. It's super flashy because you know what? When you're this great, you got to let your light shine a little bit, okay? It's got Move for Hunger on the sleeve. I love these t-shirts. Shout out to Adam Lowy and the team over at Move for Hunger. They turned out super well. We are currently at $27,825 raised thus far for Move for Hunger this month. Shout out to my co-host, Tanya Maritini, who's been with me every Friday and will continue to be with us tomorrow. This coming Friday, as we have the CAN Corporate Action Network with us talking about how you can get involved with Move for Hunger. So continue to donate. I appreciate everybody that's donated. On the website there, as you can see the link below, is where you go. It's a super simple website, moveforhunger.org/relo. Every donation counts. $100 makes 250 meals. So just think about what you can do for $100. Some of you guys spend $100 on 2 meals. Think of what you can do if you donate it. So anyway, without further ado, I want to bring out our guest today, Fiona. Fiona, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Ben? It's just such fun being here.
Isn't it though? And I'm so glad to welcome you into our little world here on Love and Relo. And I'm so honored that you came to us from across the pond there. Where are you and what time is it where you are, Fiona?
So I'm sitting in Paris. I can't show you, but I'm literally looking at the Eiffel Tower. Literally.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm just making you a little bit jealous.
Just a little bit. Oh my gosh.
Just a little bit. And it is 10 o'clock in the evening.
Wow. Thank you for staying up late for us. I know it's a slightly unreasonable request, and you've done it, and it means the world to us. And we're so fortunate when our friends from across the pond come over and share with us. If you're watching this right now, go ahead and hit a like. Go ahead and send some love to Fiona with that little heart button down there. Maybe a little celebration, round of applause to kick us off. We got people coming in on Facebook, people coming in on YouTube, a bunch of people on LinkedIn, although I'm not seeing there it is, coming in on LinkedIn. Very good. Okay,
That's
wonderful.
That's slow.
LinkedIn's a little behind the times, I got to tell you, but they're catching up quick. Here we go. Look at this. We've got Henri coming in here. Bonsoir, Fiona.
There we are. Bonsoir, Henri.
I love the French. I don't speak a lick of French, but I love it. It's such a beautiful language. Oh, this is great. Ray Abbott checking in. Hello from Vancouver. Go ahead and leave it in the comments there. We've got Lena Rekdal from Sweden.
Oh, hi, Lena. She's up late too.
She is, and she does it all the time. She's so fantastic.
She doesn't sleep. She doesn't sleep.
She I think we're looking at maybe having her on next week. She has some fantastic thoughts about women, about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I don't know if you heard this, but Sweden was named, I think, the top country for women. So yes, we're going to hear a little bit about that.
And it definitely is. It definitely is. And they show us the path. They really do. Lots to adopt.
Fantastic. So she's going to come on and talk a little bit about what companies can learn from countries like Sweden. So it's going to be exciting. We've got Simon Johns here. Hi, Ben and Fiona. Long time no see, Fiona. I hope all is well.
All is well, Simon. I hope you're doing well too.
This is great. Look at Ben
This is
Sukia.
fun. Oh, hi, Ben.
You know what? And it's great. I got all these wonderful guests. I got the wonderful people in the comments are just fantastic. It's like a little family reunion here. Lovely.
It is, but it's just so fantastic because you've put it all together. I mean, how did you have this idea, Ben? Come on.
You know what? Well, Love and Relo started just as a joke, as a sign off on an email to a client friend of mine who was having a bad day, and it was kind of like, hey, Love and Relo, just chin up, Love and Relo.
Okay.
And she laughed. She's like, LOL, that's hilarious. And I was like, yeah, it is kind of. And then I thought about the two kind of parts of my life, right? The love and the personal side and the relo. And I'm very kind of focused on my job and career. But it's more than that. It's also like this family that we have when we go to these conferences, and the joy and the deep conversations and the relationships. And just as you can see, just by the tone of the comments, right? The way people feel. So I wanted to bring that feeling to people, and so here we are.
And so here we are, and that's exactly what you're doing.
And I appreciate you saying so, and I appreciate you being here, and all of you who are commenting and watching right now. This show wouldn't be anything without you as well. And so get involved in the comments, ask questions, leave comments for Fiona because she's so interesting. Fiona, one thing I learned about you, and shout out to Francine before we keep going. Super jealous of your view. She is. That's great. Francine's wonderful. But Fiona, I didn't know this about you, and I bet a lot of people didn't. But you actually used to host a show as well. Tell us about that.
So, I don't even think you were born in those days.
I think I was born maybe the year before.
Okay, this is 1983. Okay, so there's no mobile phones, there's no internet.
Oh my gosh.
We're getting the news, telescripts coming into the news room as such. So I ran two shows. I ran one show which was very serious show with politicians and intellectual people from 7 till 9 in the morning. And that one was for a journalist, but I had to, just like Janet, get the guests.
Okay.
And, they don't turn up every day, do they?
No, they don't. What is up with that?
And especially when you ask them to be there at 6:30 in the morning, because 10 at night is feasible. 6:30 in the morning for a lot of people is not feasible at all. So
and they would have to come into the studio too. You couldn't just call in, right? They have to physically be present.
So this was, when it started, this was a pirate radio station.
What does that mean?
Well, it was illegal at the time.
Oh, I love it.
It was an illegal station. So it was 1983 and there were a whole lot of them. And we used to have to, so I lived in a skyscraper just near the Eiffel Tower as well. Well, a skyscraper French style, let's say. And I lived on the 19th floor and the radio station was on the 33rd floor. And every day we used to have to take down transformers material and put them into my apartment. And then every morning at 5 in the morning, you used to go back up in the elevator and reinstall it.
See, Janet, how easy you have it. You could be carrying transformers around.
And then you learned how you learned how to do some really crazy things, like when we used to go out to interview, we used to have Acras for interviewing. I think they still do have Acras because they're very good.
What is that? What is an Acra? I don't even know.
An Acra is what it's like. It's for taping, it's for recording, but it's very high level recording, which I don't know if the journalists still used it, but at the time you used to, and you used to have these big tapes like this.
Right.
And you used to install it all and you have your mic and everything like that. And if you were lucky, when you got to a certain level, you actually had somebody who used to carry this around with you. But if not, at my level, you had to do the carrying yourself. And then you used to go in. And when we used to do live, now, I don't know if anybody even remembers what a telephone looks like. One of these telephones, not one of these flat little things like that.
These dainty little phones we have today.
And so the ones that were like that, you used to unscrew one of the part of it, and then you used to take a paper clip and you used to fix the paper clip in and fix that to another little thing so that you could go live on the air. And I can tell you, the first time I did that, it was in the Senate here, with the president of the Senate, and he literally looked at us and said, do you really know what you're doing? So I think, Ben, now, I mean, I know because I saw you sort of playing around with a couple of things.
Yeah,
I
we
think it's
played.
probably a little bit easier.
Oh,
I used to have two big record players, and so you have to go like this with the records, and you have to get them ready, and then you've got your tapes here with your
So you had
advertisements.
turntables, and you were doing almost like
I
a
was doing all the
DJ.
turntables, and I was like a DJ
You're like
out
a
there.
DJ. This is great. You don't understand. So I know we're kind of nerding out on media right now.
We've gone
but
completely out of
this
subject.
is so interesting to me, and I'm so appreciate this story, and I hope we can continue this over a glass of wine sometime, because I have so many thoughts and questions about this, and I don't know if anybody else cares, but I find this absolutely fascinating. And so thank you for that. And it just makes me, Janet, shout out to Janet too, because we all know it's the producer, not the host. So thank you so much to
Janet. She's absolutely amazing. She really is. And she welcomes you. And then she lets Ben go and have his coffee. And then comes back again.
Well, shout out to Janet. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for her. And by the way, it's Janet's birthday on Saturday. So if you want to send her some kind words, or maybe something edible or wearable, perhaps, I don't know.
Or
flowers even, chocolates, things like that. Let me know. I'll send you her personal address. There's no PCI compliance on Love and Relo. I'll just send it all out. But no, she's wonderful, and we love you, Janet. Thank you so much for everything you do. Okay, back to business here. Okay, so Expat Partners. So Fiona, now we've had our fun. Now we can be very serious intellectuals again.
We're not serious, please.
Tell me about Expat Partners and what the company is, and then I want to hear about your story and how you got into mobility.
Okay, so Expat Partners is an immigration firm.
Okay.
And I fell into the immigration pot, because I was working with KPMG, and it was global mobility. I started off in tax, but I was really bad at that. I don't know if my bosses are on the show watching. I was really bad. I mean, Wendy Harvey, people like that, they can really say I was really bad. So after a year, somebody very kindly said, I think we should actually move her into global mobility. There's something that I have to say to everybody, because this is something which is really important. I don't have a degree. I haven't been to law school, but I was a PA to some of the best CEOs in the world, and I learned everything from them, absolutely everything. And when I arrived at KPMG, I was given the chance of my life to move from that into something, and it really was the chance of my life. So I'm back in global mobility, and I'm doing my thing. And then one day somebody says, oh, you're going to actually start doing immigration. And I looked at them and I said, very funny joke. I don't know the first thing about immigration. Well, get your act together, because you're going to be handling GE for Fragaman. And I looked at everybody and I said, no way. And I had to learn like speed and everything. And that's how I started learning about immigration.
How did you do that? Somebody presents you with that opportunity, and you have enough sense to know this is a great opportunity, but that's about it. How do you go from 0 to 60 and start really, performing them? Because that's obviously a critical account right there.
Very critical account. Very luckily, especially at that time, you didn't have multiple choice like today, for a start. So things were a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. And, people weren't so demanding like today. You get an email and you're expected to reply within 3 hours with an assessment. No, in those good old days, we did have time. We were allowed time to think, time to research. And that was really, on my side, was essential. So I learnt it, and I had some very kind, nice immigration lawyers who actually helped me learn. Mm-hmm. And then, you start off with one case, and then you build it up, and then the next one comes in, and you learn as you go along. And then I'm somebody who will always go and turn to the experts for help. So I used to call up the French administrations and say, look, I actually really need your help here. I'm not quite sure if I should use this or that. And if you say it humbly to people, it's like anything. People will always help you.
It sounds like certain people had a tremendous impact on your career at a young age. And it sounds like you, and what I love about you, Fiona, is you acknowledge that and you value that and you pay tribute to that. Tell me a little bit about gratitude, because I can tell that gratitude is something that is important to you. And
Super
I'm the
important.
same way. And I just love it.
Yeah.
I just want to give you a moment to talk about gratitude.
So tell me, how do you do gratitude, Ben?
Profusely, early and often. I sometimes wonder if I do it wrong, honestly, because
No,
I
there's no
kind of,
nothing that you can't do gratitude wrong. You can only do
well,
it right.
I'll tell you an example. I just 2 hours ago, I wrote the vice principal of my school my high school
Yeah.
where I went to school. I was kind of a bad kid growing up. Okay. I was a bad kid, and he was the vice principal of all the best people were bad kids, by the way. Okay. I don't know why we try to make our kids good, because they're going to turn into very, very lame adults. Okay. But if you're a bad kid, you can have a chance to be a truly great adult. That's my thing. Anyway, but no, I thanked him. I said, thank you so much for all the things you did. I'd love the opportunity to come back and speak to the kids and just kind of try to maybe inspire and influence and show them maybe what they could do. Right. And you know, and that's how I do gratitude. I try to always go back and thank people if they made an impact on my life, because I don't know, maybe they need that day. You know, maybe that's the payoff for a life of work. You know, what do I do?
Everybody likes being thanked. I mean, so everybody likes being thanked, and I'm going to give you an example of something that I do with my amazing director in India, Rohan, and I like everybody to do a big shout out to Rohan because he's in the hospital right now with COVID. So
Give Rohan a shout out there.
So everybody, you know, we're all there with you, Rohan. We're really thinking about you, and he's a really great guy. And Rohan and I, well, we're like brothers and sisters more than directors working together. And one of the things, now I'm passionate about India as well, passionate about Italy, everything with eyes, quite funny. Immigration, Italy and India. My husband actually is called Jean-Pierre, so it doesn't start with an I, but that's a different passion. And so coming back to the subject about gratitude, and so in India, when we go out to client meetings, you're always given a cup of coffee, and it's wonderful because this does employ people. So please don't get me wrong about this. In India, they have incredible people inside the offices who serve tea. But the one thing that we do note is that very few people actually even look at them and say thank you. And so we make an absolute point of turning, smiling, and saying thank you, because thank you is really important. You have to thank everybody the whole time. It's really important. Yeah. And it does, you know, it makes people smile. Get out of the bus. Thank you.
Well, it's simple. Yeah, he says thank yous are they're free. There's no short supply. They're readily available.
Please is too. There we go. But no, so my form of gratitude is a little bit different. I do try to say thank you. But actually I try to do gratitude about anything. And it may be that I'm in the street and I'm looking, I don't know, at a tree or something, and it makes me smile, and I think, oh, thank you. Thank you, because it's really, really great. Life is just so amazing, and I'm so lucky. So I try to do a lot of gratitude, and it keeps you away from the negative things.
Agreed. Ed Cohen is saying thank you, Fiona.
Hi, Ed. Thank you.
Katie Linehan, don't underestimate a simple, sincere thank you.
Exactly. And everybody should say it, and I'm sure you all do, to your clients. You have to thank clients for actually letting you work.
Well, and they have a choice, right? And they could choose anybody. And I think it's important also to let them know what that means as well in your life, right? I mean, because without our clients, we couldn't feed our families, you know? I mean, it's real, you know? Yeah. I like that. I like that.
Thank you for choosing us. Thank you for letting us work. Thank you for giving us a chance to show how great we are as well. Yeah. A
So
lot of thanks.
I want to get that. This is great. I want to get back into your story. I want to shout out everybody who had who made took the time to go ahead and drop in a comment here and a little shout out here. So keep them coming, everybody. Okay. Also, if you have questions for Fiona, we're going to get into some really cool topics. I mean, she's got businesses all over the globe. She's got some phenomenal stories to share with us as well. But if you have a question for Fiona, please go ahead and leave it. Shout out to Hosea from Seattle. People are tuning in left and right here. Carl Weaver from Virginia. Lana.
It's amazing. It's amazing the crowd you bring in. It really is. It really is, Ben.
I appreciate
it. And Janet. It's fantastic. So you want to come back to India?
Yes, let's talk about India. Tell me about India, because I've never been. We've never had anybody from the show on the show from India. It's a real opportunity for us, so I'd love to learn more about it.
So India is absolutely amazing. It's the most amazing country, but it's above all, it's the people. They are fantastic. They are generous, sincerely generous, and whenever you go there, they make you feel as though you're a queen or a king, and they will do all they can, to such an extent that when you go to India, don't say things like, "Oh, your purse is very nice," because the next day you're going to land up with the purse arriving.
Oh my God.
So you have to be very, very careful. You also have to accept that, of course, there's a huge culture difference, but I love culture differences. I'm very curious. I think it's very important to learn how other people live, what they do, and what the differences are. But there are things which could annoy other people. So one of the things you have to remember when you're in India is that lots of people have tasks that they do. It's a chain. So if somebody comes up and greets you at your car when you get out of it to go into somebody's office, and they take your attaché case, don't grab it away from the guy and look at him as though he's going to run off with it. No, he's just kindly going to carry your attaché case upstairs for you.
So if we get out of a car for a business meeting and someone takes my attaché, I should allow them to take my attaché.
Yes. I mean, as long as you think that it's, it really is somebody who's coming to greet you, kind of thing. It's not somebody
I don't know.
I've
never had someone carry my attaché before. I've been dying for someone to carry my attaché.
They will. And when I'm in my fantastic office, I think that they're all asleep. I hope they're all asleep. But if any of them are there, I have a big shout out to them. It's the same. It's all these little things which really, really count. And I'm going to tell you a story, because we have the most incredible guy. He's called Jacob. And I think one day somebody should make a film about Jacob. So
I love that you're talking about Jacob right now, by the way.
Okay.
I love it.
So, Jake, I'm going to try not to cry.
Cry.
So Jacob, we had, in India, you have something which is called a tea boy. And it's these famous guys who serve tea and coffee, and they clean the offices, because everything in India because of the dust, has to be cleaned twice a day. And they're incredible. They really are incredible people. So we've had various tea boys, and Jacob arrives, and sort of think, you look very smart for a tea boy. Very, very well groomed. And your English is pretty good. And I'm thinking, I'm sure he could do much more than being a tea boy. And so I speak to everybody, and they say, oh, yes, but he hasn't got his high school diploma. So I think, okay, that must be something that you have to have. Yes, and he hasn't been to university. And I'm thinking, okay, perhaps you have to be to, all our staff have been to university. Thinking, okay, perhaps that's also another condition in India. And so I say to everybody, okay, you all have a task. You've got to help him. He's got to take his high school diploma. So this goes on for about a year, and regularly I'm asking, and regularly when I go there, I say, okay, Jacob, you revising? Yes, I am revising. I'm thinking, poor guy, he really hates this. He really, really does hate this. And at one time I say to everybody, okay, so what's the honest truth? Well, he's not really keen about this. So I say, yeah, but then what are we going to do? Because it's ridiculous. We've got to help this person get out of his position and get into a different role and a proper job. And I say, but, if he can't go to university, and so everybody looks at me and I say, hey, he doesn't have to go to university. No, okay, so we can skip that. And he doesn't really have to have his high school diploma to work for us. And they say, no. So I say, okay. So now Jacob does massively data entries for us. And he's utterly amazing. He even helps on billing issues. He's really incredible. But this is the real story. So, like a lot of companies, we had to make some decisions in the spring with the COVID. A lot of us did. And Jacob, because we had 2 T-boys, and I said, okay, we can't have 2 T-boys and nobody's going into the office. This isn't just not going to make sense. We're going to have to take a real stance about this. So we said, okay, what we'll do is that we'll say to Jacob that you're going to stay on, but you're going to have to do a little bit of the cleaning. We don't need to be served tea. We're perfectly capable of doing that ourselves. And he comes in and he says, no, you're not going to keep me. You're going to keep my buddy. Because my buddy, he's married and he's got children. How many people do you know who would do that? And then, then we kept both. That was the big slap in the face.
So they took a stance on you. It sounded like
Fiona. But that's great. That's great when you have people who suddenly say to you, actually, he really needs it. And you think, my goodness, of course he needs it. Stop. And then he did the most amazing thing. But 2 months ago, he goes in and sees the director and he says, I need to see you. I really need to see you. I've got something important. So we're thinking, okay, what has he got to say? And he says, look, I know that times are tough for you. And so everybody says, yes. And he says, I've made a decision. My English isn't very good. So what I suggest is I will work and you don't pay me. How many people would actually go and say that? You really learn these lessons. This is real lessons, life lessons. So Jacob, great guy, really great guy. And that's why I learn a lot of things.
I'm blown away by this story. It's so interesting to me. So what is Jacob doing now? What is his current position?
So Jacob has a position. He has an admin position. And he enters data into our tracking system, and he helps people who get overwhelmed with too many documents that have to be uploaded, and he helps with all that kind of stuff. Yeah, he has an admin position, he's very, very savvy on Facebook. Very savvy. I mean, he should go into digital marketing.
So maybe that's the next opportunity.
Yeah, that'll be his next opportunity. Yeah, step by step.
Yeah, wow. This is so interesting. We have people over here who are kind of watching here, and Carl said I heard my favorite author speak many years ago and say, go back to those great teachers you had, thank them for their influence. It always stuck with me. Yeah, for sure, Carl. Janine, feeling so lucky watching this now. Thank you, Fiona, for sharing. You're inspiring people, Fiona.
I think it's the others who inspire me, and I'm just passing on the message. Most of us are surrounded with inspiring people.
I agree. Jordy says our thoughts are with Rohan.
Yeah. Thanks, Jordy. I'll pass it on.
Totally agree on India. Simon John says, love the culture, the people, and the food.
Oh, yes. The food is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Is the food the same? And I don't know if you can compare it to the U.S. Indian food, but I think it's similar to British Indian food. But I mean, is the food the same as we're used to, or do we get it different and it's inauthentic? And so help me understand.
I don't know about in the U.S. I would think that it's as authentic as Indian food is in the UK because there are big Indian communities. So if you've got the big Indian communities, you probably, you can build up on this. Here in France, you can't get a good Indian meal. The community is very, very small here. So no, they don't have, there are so-called Indian restaurants, but they're not really. And there's not enough spice.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta have the spice. So I read an article because I was fascinated by Indian food. I went through this thing where I was eating Indian food three times a week, and now I'm down to probably one or one every 2 weeks. But I was obsessed with it, and I was wondering why it was so amazing. And so I did some research, and it said that most cultures, Italian, French, they look for foods that complement one another. They look for flavor profiles that complement one another, garlic and oregano and white wine,
Yeah.
But Indian food takes flavors that are on opposite sides of the flavor wheel, and they put those together. And that is what makes the magic and the surprise of Indian flavor palettes and profiles. And I was like, that is so fascinating. And then it made me think further on innovation, to say, instead of taking things that we always think to be similar and together and that make a lot of sense putting together, what if we take things from total opposite spectrums and put those together to make something truly interesting, innovative, and valuable?
But that's what you should think about innovation. And when you take, people like Jared Jascott and Roman Zelinchenko and Ron Matten, all those people, they're doing a fantastic job for all of us, but it's going to go even higher. But we have to think out of the book. And as you say, we have to also think about things, very daily things, which could really change our life. Very small things where you could use innovation as well.
Give me an example. Play that through just a moment for me.
So, a lot of people, they go and put on very fancy things onto their shower so that you use less water. Okay? But there's something which is very, very effective, which people in Australia, a lot of people I've seen have, and that's just an egg timer, an old-fashioned egg timer, the one that you turn upside down, with the sand.
Sure.
Just stick that in the shower and you just say to everybody, you just turn that, and once you've got to the end of it, there's no water.
Right. Why take a bad shower for 20 minutes when you could just...
Why take a bad shower for 20 minutes? But why go and spend the money on installing fancy stuff which has cost a fortune to make and which has probably not been very ecological as well to install that? Whereas this little egg thing, that's okay.
This is great. Here we got some great comments coming in here as well. Actually, and Ed has a question about India, and I think this is actually really interesting. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and maybe kind of stories of your experiences in India. So I understand that you love India, but we also read reports about gender inequality, and the work that needs to be done kind of in India. And Ed says, Fiona, please discuss and go deep on the topic of India. Gender equality. How's that concept going today? Is it happening in the multinational corporations? What has been your experience, Fiona? And maybe can you help us understand the story arc there?
So, gender equality or diversity in the workplace, it doesn't really exist. It's beginning to exist. So there are different levels. There are some very, very high up CEOs, especially of banks in India, and they're women. So yes, it's not to say that they don't exist. They are. And Indian business women are extremely smart, but I mean very, very smart. And they have tons of empathy and business know-how, but in a very soft, they're very good on their soft skills, I'd say.
Right.
But you have a whole layer, and especially a layer going down, where there's not very much equality, and that the boys are given much more of a chance at the start, as such. So it's a very unfair system as such. And the women, I mean, and I know this because I really do admire a lot of them. Not only are most of them running a professional life, but then they go home and they're cooking these amazing meals, which take hours to make. I mean, hours, they don't run into the cold room and pull out the frozen dish of lasagna. I mean, it might be homemade that you have, Ben, but, we have a very easy life. They do not have an easy life. They do not have an easy life. So it's the gender equality, I think, is difficult because few homes are homes where the men actually do things at home as well. It's coming. I don't want my Indian friends to get me wrong. It's coming. It is. And I'll give you an example that we did for our 15th anniversary. We took the whole team from Paris down to India. We had an amazing 4 days with everybody. And one of the things that we did is that we did one of those team building cook show things, just like on the TV.
Oh,
So we put everybody into teams, and we had to do in, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours, we had to make a menu, Indian cooking, and we had to go shopping for it as well. So that was interesting. But the interesting side was that all the boys, okay, my team are very, very young. I like working with young people. They bring in the ideas, and they give you the feedback, and it's a really, really good combination, I think. But all of them had to ring up their mothers and their sisters and their aunts, because none of them knew how to cook whatsoever. And they don't know how to wash up either.
I still struggle with that. I can cook, but I still struggle with that.
So it's difficult, and it's also it depends which area, what field you're working in. In the IT, it's very male. One of my big adventures that I had is that one day I went to Chennai, and we walked in and we were greeted, and this is typical, you're greeted by a whole group of men. Once in a while, you're lucky there's another woman there, and you sort of say, I'm not the only one. So we're greeted by a whole group of men. I'm walking in with 3 other men, and we go into the meeting room, and then gradually the meeting room fills up, and there are about 15, 20 men there. Okay, fine. I'm cool. I mean, I don't mind. And then they start calling people in on a video system, and it's all men. So I'm presenting at the end to a room and on the video to 50 men, not one single woman, and it's International Women's Day.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah.
Did they understand the irony of the situation?
Oh, well, you never really know. I don't know if they did fully understand. Everybody smiles and laughs. So
right. 50 men.
But the one thing that I will say is that they're very respectful of women. They're very respectful of their mothers, their sisters, their wives. There's a lot of respect that goes on, and there's real love there. You hear a lot about the arranged marriages, etc., and I discuss it very openly with my team, as such. But there's a lot of love as well, a lot of love.
Yeah, good. Well, this is interesting. I love the insights here. Simon John says curry's a British thing in India. They don't know what a madras or a vindaloo is. Curry translates as gravy. Real India food is amazing. Wow. See, that's interesting because I love the curry, so I have a lot probably to learn here. We've got some great questions, and keep the questions coming. We're going to get into some questions right now, so please ask Fiona questions. I love to read your questions. It's so much fun.
So then you haven't been to India?
No, I've never been to India.
Okay.
Fiona, I have a secret. This is an open secret. I have a lot of open secrets. Okay. I don't know what that says about me, but an open secret of mine is that I have never left North America. I've never been outside of the US, Canada, and the Bahamas.
Okay.
So I'm working. One of my goals, I have a list in my home office, and I have about 5 big goals that I set in the beginning of the year. And I'm not going to tell everybody what they all are. I've accomplished a couple of them, but I have about 3 left. And one of those is to travel to either Europe or Asia this year. Now, of course, COVID throws a huge monkey wrench in that, right? This is a pre-COVID list here. But I tell you what, like the people on this show are so, I've had a couple invitations. I want to go so badly. I welcome any invitations if I can be of service or come or whatever, or just tell funny jokes and eat your meals and tell everybody how great it is. Please invite me. But I would love to go to India. I would love to go to Asia. I would love to go to see my friends in Europe who tune in all the time.
You have to do both. You come through, either you do it the way out or the way in. You come through. You could do it both ways.
How do I turn that into a business, Fiona? That's what I need. I need a job.
Of course you can. Of course you can. First of all, you can do your so come on, Ben. You can do your show anywhere. So that's one. And then the
Yeah.
other thing is that you're potentially going to be meeting people, looking at other businesses. Of course you can.
Well, I'll work on that. That maybe you and I will have a think on it offline
Yeah,
here, because I
I
could
think that
use some.
all the people who are there, we have to line him up. His
Yes.
meetings, everything. Oh yeah, we'll get you.
Line me up here. Simon Johns, I have my guest room made up for you, Ben. Thank you, Simon. Oh gosh, this is great. Okay, let's get into your questions here. Okay, we got some questions coming in from people here. My friend Ben Sukia here. How does someone with so many years of experience in global mobility continue to stay relevant in the industry? What advice do you have to teach the next generation, and what can you still learn from them? Wow, big question.
That's a big question. Thank you, Ben. So first of all, I think that if you're curious, you'll always stay ahead. Um, and I'm a very, very curious person, and I'm always looking at things. And immediately I saw about Yotengo Bot. I'm immediately saying to my young team, okay, you've got to start looking at chat bots and everything. 2 days later, they're installing a chat bot onto my website, which we immediately took down because it wasn't working. But, I function like that, that we get into things. We had a really, really good discussion with Jared. It's fascinating. And so you stay ahead of the industry, and then you see the incredible things that people are doing with artificial intelligence, which is really going to be the next step for everybody. And it doesn't matter whether it's in your business or whether it's in your personal life. It's coming,
Right.
or it's already there. It's not coming, it's already there. So if you welcome these changes, you have to be careful on certain things. I'll be honest with you, I didn't have Alexia at home.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have Alexia at home, but that's a personal decision. But if you look at those things and what they can bring and the changes, and also you've got to observe. That's very, very important. Sometimes you've got to slow down and look at what other people are doing in the industry and what works and doesn't work. And you've got to listen to the market. That is very, very important. You've got to listen to, what does the market want today? And I'm not going to start waving a flag and saying we're doing brilliantly, because that would be totally untrue. But we're not doing as bad as I thought we would in April. In April, I think that, like a lot of other people, we went into total shock, and it was very scary. And then I said, hey, I've got a small boat, and small boats can actually ride the waves quite easily. So you've got to adapt. You've got to be nimble. You've got to look at what the market wants. So my advice for people who are joining the market, first of all, the industry has so much to offer. I mean, look at your show, Ben. I mean, Janet before, she was talking about truck drivers. I mean, the industry has everything. So you can take people, and I think that I really do think this, and I'm not saying for those who are very talented, skilled lawyers and chartered accountants, that level, but
Right.
otherwise, a lot of people can do like me. You can come into this industry, you don't know anything, and you can really learn, and you can really find things where you can have a lot of fun as well. But you've got to work very hard. But that's anybody, you're going to say to me.
Yeah,
But you
that's
do.
anybody. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's anybody. But if you work very hard, you've got to like people as well. You've got to like the empathy side of this job. So if you're a highly empathetic person, a HEP, yeah, you'll love it. And
Yeah.
that's very, very important. And you've got to work on that, because I believe that that's something which is very important. And it's one of the subjects that I really believe in, that everybody should start working on empathy in the workplace, not just for the clients, because we all go on about this for the clients, but it's with your own teams that you've got to understand. You've got to understand them, and what they want and what they feel, and how could you help them. I love finding talent. I have gems. I have gems who walk into my office. The latest gem that we had, and a big shout out to her, Julianne, because she's amazing. She's our community manager, and she joined us as an admin assistant. And then I saw her looking at things on LinkedIn on cryptocurrency, and I thought, hey, she's looking at cryptocurrency. I'm not saying that admin people don't look at cryptocurrency. Don't get me wrong, Ben. But,
Yeah.
You start thinking, well, actually, she's got quite a lot of other things and talents probably. So we got into discussing, and I said, would you be interested in doing things like digital marketing? She looked at me and said, oh, I'd love to. I sent her on a 2-week course. She does
Yeah.
everything for us now.
Wow.
So, it's a question of giving people a chance. But for young people, if you're interested in this industry, there's masses to do, masses. It's moving very, very, very fast today, very fast. And after that, my advice is always to go and say to the people you work with, I'd like to try this. Come up with your ideas. It's really important because I love working with young people and I really encourage it. I don't have a separate office. I sit in the middle of my team. We have a small open space. I tried having a separate office and I was so lonely, all alone. I moved myself back.
Yeah.
And we share ideas all day long.
I love it. And along those lines, I love what you were saying about finding these gems, these talent gems, right? And I think that that's been one of the things in my own career that I've struggled with. I do take enormous pride when I see people that I've worked with in prior lives go on to, bigger and better things. I just saw a newsletter that announced 3 people I had worked with that had gone on to other new promotions and things. I took immense pride in that, but I always felt like that was something I could do a better job with. So help me understand, how do you find those gems? What is that quality that you're looking for? And how do you keep your eyes open for those people?
So, of course, everybody hires in the same usual manner, and it doesn't matter how you do it, and you've got your KPIs and your sheets and I don't know what. And I try to be good with my HR people on this.
I try to be good. I love it.
I try to be good. No, because I believe that it's people. You're hiring people, and you don't necessarily, you can do 2-3 interviews. You're not necessarily sure if they're really going to fit into that. And when you're in a small team, you've got to be very, very careful because we have a lot of characters inside my team. So, if you don't have enough character, you're going to be squashed. You're not going to survive with us. So when we've now installed a new system, and I can suggest this to everybody, and it's really, really good. Don't smile any of the team out there. We have a new system now. So we do the regular interviews. And then when it gets to the stage when you think, okay, this person actually we think should be good, we then say to them, okay, just for the last round, we'd like you to come and join us one evening for a drink. And you put them in the middle of your team, and then you're going to see how that sort of works out. Would the person actually be able to fit in with your team? And that's for me, it's very important.
So cultural fits are hugely important for you.
Yes, but cultural fits. But you see, the thing is that I have a multicultural team, and I'm not IBM. So we don't become a sort of it's not wishy-washy. I worked for IBM at one moment. It's, but IBM has its own culture, and you're not British or French or Polish or whatever. It's like, it's like working for the United Nations.
Right.
So, but when you're in a small group, and you have Indians and Chinese and Americans and Greek, British, and then you've got somebody from Brittany and they're very French. And then you have me. You've got to sort of mix in with it all. It's like making a cocktail. You've got to put it in the shaker and it's got to come out right. Your martini's got to be good at the end of the day.
Sure.
But going back to talent, I believe that managers should observe. You've got to be curious with your team, and you've got to observe what they're doing, how they do it, and you've got to be very careful that they don't get bored. I got bored for years. For about 10, 15 years, I used to run 2 jobs at the same time. I used to work for my husband and I used to do my regular job because I used to get so.
How do you keep people from getting bored, though?
You give them a lot to do.
Your team is like, oh, thanks, Ben. I appreciate that question.
No, we don't do, we don't do horrible things like, timesheets or anything like that. That's the biggest nightmare that any large firm can have. We do know on an average how long people should take. So, every now and again when I see something that's going on for too long, I'm going to say, hey, what's happening? But otherwise, no, we come up with projects. There'll be some people sighing out there and saying, yes, here she goes. I mean, I have ideas constantly. I try not to just give my ideas. I try to encourage ideas. And yes, we have little groups of work like most offices, and they come up with super ideas. Some of them we take, some of them we don't take. And most people like working on different things. You've got to cross them. Most people don't just want to do accounting all day.
Sure.
They'd like to do something else as well. And so you've got to give them a chance to do that and a chance to shine.
I love it. I love it. People here are leaving great comments here. I'm getting an opportunity to go to Bordeaux and see Henri. That's fantastic. a dream come true. You want your team shaken, not stirred, Henri says. This is great. This is fantastic.
She's so fantastic with her team. She's amazing. A big shout out to Lena. Next week's going to be a great show because she has so much to tell everybody, and she really takes care of it. It's like a family. If you're running a business, and I really believe it's like a family, whether you have 2,000 people. It must be an absolute nightmare. I can't think of anything worse, but it should be like that. You've got to take care of them. It's your duty. If you own a business and you run it, it is your duty to take care of them, the same as in your family. It's the same.
Do you believe, so we have this question, and it seems to be cyclical in nature, but it's who comes first in a business? Is it the shareholder? Is it the employee? Is it the customer?
No. So it's not the shareholder. Well, in my firm, it's not the shareholder. Or maybe I've missed something there. I'm not very good on that side. So luckily my accountant isn't there. So it's not the shareholder, and it shouldn't be the shareholder. I think that it has to be a balance in between the employee and the customer, but it's not the customer is the king and can say and do it everything. And I'm very strict about that. When we have new team members, one of the things that they're told is that they're not allowed to take bad language or even irate speaking from a customer. I won't have it. It's a respect. Clients respect you, you respect clients, and we all have it. I can be really rude if I want to. And luckily, somebody will look at me, my husband usually, and say, or one of my sons, and will say, would you calm down, please? And you think, it's not the done thing. You don't do that. And it's slightly the same. So it's very easy. Well, it's not very easy for me, but it's much easier for me because of my age and it's my company, that when some clients who are going through terrible stress, I mean, all of us, and right now we're dealing with very stressful clients. So we have to take that into consideration. And they may be moving somewhere they don't want to go to. Maybe their wife doesn't want to go there. Maybe, they can have lots of other issues themselves. And so they start getting stressed and it all goes. So you have to keep this all calm. You have to keep this very calm. You have to be very factual about what you're doing. And very clear, very, very, very clear. It's all about communications. But I think at the end of the day, to answer your question, yes, my team come first.
Well, and I asked that question because I thought you'd say that. And I think it's interesting because I think there's been an evolution of thought where the rule used to be the customer is always right. You've heard this forever.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That used to be the rule, I'd say, before the 1980s, right? That was the maximum in business. Customer's always right. And then in the 80s, it seemed to be that the shareholder comes first, and this is the Wall Street and greed and the shareholder, and it was always first in corporate takeovers, and it was all about shareholder value, right? And then I've seen over the last 10 years where it seems to be a shift now to the employees are being made first in organizations, with the mindset that if you take care of the employees, they take care of the customers, who obviously would then take care of the shareholder, right? And I think it's interesting to hear you talk about your experiences there and how you look at it, and I appreciate you sharing that as well.
Not at all.
We've got a few other questions coming in here, and I think this is interesting. Elena says, thank you for your comments about the team coming first, Fiona. Happy employees make happy customers, but employees shouldn't compromise their dignity to make a customer happy. You know, and you're right, because once you start allowing that type of behavior as well, the customer never respects you and they never start acting better. And then you lose the employee because you don't stick up for them. So now they're crushed and unable to do their job.
And it really is, it's a question of managing them when, you know, when anybody gets out of hand. I mean, look, if you go and stay, for those who do go and stay in a 5-star hotel, when clients start getting irate, there's always some little person who arrives up and takes you very quietly by the arm and says, can I offer you a glass of champagne? Which means calm down. Now, I had a wonderful boss. I don't know if she's on it here. She's called Claire. She's the most amazing boss I had.
Wow.
And she had a really, really, really difficult position, but really difficult. She worked in the futures market. So anybody who's worked in the futures market knows a little bit. Huge pressure. You know, money like you don't even
fortunes
talk about it, fortunes, and it's all high speed and everything like this. And she was doing international marketing worldwide for futures. And I worked for her, and she was under a lot of stress. And every now and again, which is perfectly normal, she sort of blew.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got a code up. And when I used to look at her and I say, would you like a cup of tea? She knew that meant calm down. Just calm down. Just sit down, take a deep breath, have a cup of tea, and it'll be better.
Love it. Love it. I love the code word too. Would you like a cup of tea? I remember my boss came and got me by the arm and took me into the conference room and basically like chilled me out because I was getting into it with somebody. And, you know, you need somebody like that, you know.
Of course you do. Of course you do. And, you know, I mean, otherwise people can go completely wild. I mean, we had one guy on the trading floor. He took a baseball bat and he smashed, I don't know how many computers.
Wow. That's a problem. That's a problem. Lena says, very good point about stress these days. Not taking things personally is essential, and extending love and patience helps. She also says a big thank you, Fiona, for being so kind.
Thank you. Thank you, Lena. Thank you, Lena. But patience is a very important word. Yeah.
People are asking for the Love and Relo World Tour. All right, get your tickets and your concert T-shirts right here. That'd be fantastic.
I think we'll all join. We'll all join.
Simon has a question here. Fiona will love this. Can I get a word in edgeways? I don't know what Simon means by that.
I know what he means. Yes, Simon, I have that issue. Sorry.
Simon, do you need a cup of tea? Simon, okay. Let's see here. Jackie says tea cures everything for the Brits. I got to ask, and this is probably a big topic here, but what made you open a business in India and China?
Okay, I'm an expat. I was born as an expat. My mother was born in India. My parents met in Hong Kong. Wow. I was born in Hong Kong, and I'm sort of a little bit of a mixture between Spanish, Portuguese, Irish, Scottish. You know, one of those sort of things.
The best.
And I came back, I was raised in the UK, but I felt very not in my place there. And I can't tell you why, but I just never did feel at ease there. And I was sent over to France because my mother spoke fluent French. And she spoke in French with her Spanish grandparents, just to sort of make life a little bit complicated. And I wasn't very good at French. And I wanted to study art. And I was meant to go to Florence in Italy.
Lovely.
Anyway, I never made it to Florence. And my mother said to me, you can do whatever you want, but there's one rule. you have to go and spend at least 6 months to 12 months in France, and you have to be bilingual. It's the only rule that I'm going to say. So I said, okay, I'm coming to France. And actually, there's masses of art to do here. So that was fine.
Yeah.
So I landed up.
Yeah, that wasn't much of a compromise on the art front, was it?
No, it wasn't much of a comfort. But I landed here and I never really left. Yes, I did. I went and lived in Boston for about 18 months at one time, which I loved. Wonderful place, Boston. And then came back here. And when I had Expat Partners, at one moment, I had fantastic people. Some of you may know them, Rami and Carmen Fakari. And they were very, very kind to me and helped me. And they were looking for a partner in France to help their Indian clients. So I started working with them. And I already had one Indian client as well, and big company. And at one moment they said to me, well, we're going to India because we have a branch there. Why don't you come with us and you can come to the INS Zoom conference, which a lot of you may know. So they have a big conference in India. So I was invited, and this was my first trip. And where was it to? Bangalore, where my mother was born.
Wow.
Now, I didn't really think about anything like that. You know, you don't think I'm going on a pilgrimage or anything. But the very strange thing is that when I'm in Bangalore, I'm very much at home. I'm very, very much at home. So, long story short, which is already long, I'm there. And so for years we're working, and I grow my Indian client base to such an extent that today it's about 60% of our clients. And what happened then was that a lot of people said to me, you should open a company, but you don't just open a company in somewhere like India. I mean, it's probably the same like in the US. You've got to have somebody who's American, or in this case, Indian, who's going to do it. You can't just go and say, oh, yes, I'm opening a company there.
Right.
And one day I get a call from Rowan, who initially was a client and became a friend. And he's working in another company, and he says to me, I'm not really happy in what I'm doing. And so I said, well, that's not a problem. I mean, he was running a team of about 300 people. I said, that's not a problem. You're going to find a job tomorrow. And he says, no. And it's a joke. I said to him, oh, so this is the moment when I'm supposed to say to you, would you like to come and work for me? And he said, that's why I'm calling you. So I sort of went, no. I can't hire somebody of that caliber. That's way out of my scale. And I said, well, look, I wanted to be polite. So I said, well, we'll think about this and I'll come back to you. So I came back home. Luckily, I have astute family who are good business people. And they say to me, hey, think properly. This could be a really good opportunity for you. You don't know what he wants for a start. And think, you have all these Indian clients. They're always saying that you should open a company. Perhaps this is the moment. And that's how we started there as such. And none of this would have happened without him. None of it. Because it is complicated. It really is. You've got to have a lot of patience, and you've got to understand that it is very, very different. China, different story. China, we had an intern from one of the top business schools, sort of like equivalent of a Harvard, which is called LESSEC here. Mm-hmm. And we had him as an intern. After 3 months, I thought, this guy's really good. I'm going to keep him on. So he stayed on for another 3 months. And I thought, I can't let him go. So I said, would you like to do the rest of your MBA under an apprenticeship scheme? He said, yes. Super. So he stays on. So at the end of it, I've had him for about 3 years, and he's coming to the end. He's getting his diploma. And that in France is the moment when it's the crunch and you say, okay, I'm going to have to hire this guy or he's going to be going. And so I take a breath and I say, well, what have you decided? What do you want to do? And he turns around and he says to me, I'd like to go back to China and open Expat Partners in China. Wow. So that's how we have China. And because I was born in Hong Kong, I love it. It's in Shenzhen. It's fantastic. It's a great city. It's super exciting. And it's full of young people. And we're very lucky. Very lucky.
You're very fortunate to have found those people who've taken you into those markets. But at the same time, I have to comment, it seems like there has a lot to do also, though, with your your personality, maybe in the way that you lead, and maybe that the way that you believe in those people as well, that in just makes them want to partner with you. I could totally see that.
Maybe. I mean, there are a lot of people out there who I'd love to hire. Because there are a lot of very talented people, and it's such fun when you work with talented people. You really learn from them. They nurture you with their ideas. So yeah, that's fantastic. And I mean, talent in our world is a big subject, and I think that everybody worldwide is going to have to think about how are we going to create talent and encourage talent, and then how are we going to let talent go around the world. And I know that everybody's talking about digital nomads and teleworkers and all of that, and we have endless discussions on LinkedIn, but there's a lot to do. But talent for any country, and the US, where the US is made of immigrants, and I can't say this enough. The US, I mean, it's made of immigrants where everybody has a chance. I know you're going to say to me, it's not really a chance, but there is a chance there. And it should welcome immigrants. It should embrace immigrants, and it should help them all they can.
The country is founded by expats. I mean, that's just the simple truth.
Exactly.
The country is founded by expats, and it's what's made this country so phenomenal. And it's really been our core strategy for our entire expats, and freedom to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is our core strategy. And I don't think we should ever leave that strategy. I don't think we should ever deviate from that. This has been great, Fiona. I want to leave you an opportunity to just leave us with a final word. Shout out to everybody who's commented, all the questions, fantastic. Shout out to Rowan in the hospital there. Do you want to leave us with a final thought, Fiona?
Well, I'd like to leave everybody with a final thought that I think that today, with everything that we've been through, we're going to be going through, because sadly it's not the end. I think we've got to stay strong together. We're going to be very, very strong. We're going to be a very strong group of people. Hold on to the love as much as possible, and give everybody a chance. Give everybody a chance to work, to grow, to shine.
Love it. Fantastic.
And thank you, Ben. And thank you, Janet.
Thank you. And thank you, Janet. And thank you, Fiona. This has been an honor and a pleasure. I'm so blessed to have you here today and to get to know you. It's just been so fantastic. And I hope this is the first of many conversations that we have.
So do I. We're expecting you in France.
I can't wait. I truly can't wait to get the world tour, set off here. Thanks everybody who commented today and joined the conversation. It wouldn't be anything without you. So thank you so much for you as well. And then also tune in tomorrow for the Move for Hunger Action Month Corporate Action Network discussion with my co-host Tanya Maritini from Expedia Group. We are going to continue raising funds. We've already raised $27,825. We are only $2,175 away from our goal of $30,000. So please go to moveforhunger.org/relo and donate today. $100 buys 250 meals for people in need. So thank you so much, everybody in the community. Fiona, again, thank you.